It's 295 Main Street.
It's next to the old McDonald's.
Oh, I gotcha. Thank you. It's 5 o'clock.
It's like 4:59. Where are you getting from? Fuck.
Looking up there.
This is ridiculous.
No problem.
Hurricane Ian.
I don't have a gavel.
You two, cut it out. I took a cold drink, and when I do that, it makes me
job.
choke. I said, you two, cut it out.
I can't.
All right, calling the meeting to order. To order. Pledge of Allegiance. Mary Ann.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for which is
which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. All right. I apologize if I'm muffled this evening. I have a bit of a cold, so I'm wearing a mask to try to not spread my cold this evening.
I'll make a motion to approve the September 12th non-public meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I'll make another motion to approve the September 12th regular meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I'll make a motion to approve the September 19th non-public work session minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And finally, I'll make a motion to approve the September 21st non-public meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The Select Board will meet on the following dates. Tuesday, September 27th, work session at 4 p.m. for viewing locations for a potential solar array. Tuesday, October 11th, and Monday, October 24th, for our regular meeting here. The Campus Community Council meeting is Wednesday, September 28th at 6 p.m. That's this Wednesday at 6 p.m. Where's that located, Ted?
It's located right here, and we will have a Zoom link available.
Great. So here plus Zoom. You can get Zoom connection information on the website. October 6th at 6:30, the Planning Board will be hosting a public meeting about the effort to develop a stormwater asset management program for which the town has received a $30,000 grant from New Hampshire DES. Members of the public are encouraged to attend in person or virtually via Zoom to learn more about the town's stormwater system and help shape the development of a program to effectively manage this vital infrastructure. Last update is that town offices will be closed on Monday, October 10th for Columbus Day. Finally, all meetings will be held upstairs in Town Hall and held by Zoom. Zoom information can be found on the town's website at plymouth-nh.org. Citizens wishing to be listed on the Select Board's agenda should notify Town Hall before noon the Thursday before the scheduled meeting. It's a slight adjustment. We've moved it from Friday to Thursday in order to give us just a little bit more time to get the agenda out to everyone and get it posted. So please, noon the Thursday before the scheduled meeting. Before we get into the agenda, under Chairman's comments, any update on when the front steps of Town Hall?
They're open.
They're open!
Yay.
Figured we should at least celebrate that publicly. Thank you for finally working through all of the complexities and trouble of that big project. Nice to see Town Hall open again. All right. Joe, you just walked in. Want to talk purchase orders?
what's on your list first?
First up, we have Morton Salt, salt for roads.
So 600 tons, which is the same amount we had last year. And we're looking at $84.50 a ton for $50,700. And so we have Eastern Minerals, which is comparable, and they're roughly another, almost $1 more a ton. But I prefer Morton Salt. The salt, I like it better.
Is that what we've always used, Joe? Just always Morton?
Yes, for a bunch of reasons, but yep. I just try not to say too much over the when I'm talking about other vendors in public.
Mm-hmm.
They are the better price. You did have a
Yeah,
comparable.
they're not always a better price, but this year they actually are. But
How many do we usually reach out to see for pricing?
there's only two that really service this area.
Okay.
So,
Do they come out of Bow or Portsmouth?
Portsmouth is for Morton Salt, so they truck it up from Portsmouth.
We trick it up?
Nope, they truck
Okay.
it.
Yeah, right.
Somebody disabling a bomb in the back room?
Stop it.
But we are significantly, we're going to be significantly over budget with this. I mean, not that it's anything you can control, just observing that.
Right. Yeah.
Right, our budget, we have a budget of 40,000. We're going to be spending over 50.
Right. I mean, if we have a better season, then we obviously won't use it all, and we'll give some back.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the prices are up. Not much we can do.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we accept the bid of $50,700 for, from Morton Salt for the salt for roads.
Second.
Any discussion? You look like you're going to say something, Mary Ann.
Nope, not at all.
Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, on to Crystal Spring, paving of Crystal Springs.
So I just got another bid in today. I wasn't able to get it in with this packet, but it was from another vendor, which was significantly more money. So this is the better price, and the other one was gonna put down a little more asphalt, but this, what they're gonna put down here is plenty sufficient for what they're doing.
They do prep too?
Yep. Yeah. So that'll make a lot of the people happy.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of fun to plow that either, the way it is.
No. You probably break equipment there.
It's just, it's time, it needs to be done.
So
So I'm also requesting to use ARPA funds for that, if it's possible. So here's my reasonings. I asked the state for help, and I got they kind of turned a blind eye to me. And then, so I approached the fire department, and at one time, it was gonna be a shared cost, but they used their funds for something else, so they're not in a position to help me fund that. And so originally, I was just asked to get it done, so it was just my whole budget for something that the whole town uses. And I already have a whole list of other roads so I was hoping that this could be ARPA funds could be a mutual thing that would help me keep my other roads, just keep going a better direction.
Sounds reasonable.
Agreed.
I got so this will bring it up to grade and move the drain up as well? Or how is it going to correct the problem of a dip that can bottom out people?
So they're gonna pave it, and so it's still gonna have a pitch, but there's a drain in the parking lot.
Right.
And all the water's gonna drain to that drain.
So is that going to be raised up to?
It will, but not. So it comes in and it drops right off. It'll probably pick it up maybe 2 or 3 inches, and it'll level it off enough so you can come in and out of there better. And then when they're all done, we'll gravel both ends of it to make sure that it'll be
Swing in the park, that type of thing?
all new and spiffy.
Will they reset the elevation of the grate to match the asphalt?
So it has like an existing, it just seems like out of character. It has an existing pitch where a basin goes. And so we're just gonna raise it up and make sure all the water flows to that basin. You can't change that. If you start getting into that's a state culvert and stuff, and if there's any issues with it, I don't really wanna own it. So
Okay.
right now, we can make it work.
Okay.
It'll definitely be nicer than it was.
All right. I move that we expend $84.60 out of ARPA funds for Crystal Springs paving.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And how are we doing on time? We're doing well. Thurlow and Parker Street.
And the last one, so Thurlow, Parker, and Texas Hill, that intersection is really bad, so I've only really got one price on it, and so we have to work with them, and they have a window that's coming up the second week in October, so
Are you referring to the intersection with Warren Street and Texas Hill Road?
yes. So we're gonna work with them and get it cleaned up and repave all that. And then if you go up Thurlow Street, there's a couple of sections, of really bad sections. There's one just up from Parker Street, and we're gonna fix that. And then there's one more where it's rutted really bad and the water's just running down the road and it's not getting into the basins. So we wanna fix that and put a crown. We're trying to just salvage that road, because if we don't, we're gonna lose it. And I think it's one that if we spend this money, we can buy some time to salvage it without having to, I don't wanna put it in a stage like Bartlett Road, and so it's so far gone that we have to totally rebuild it. I think if we spend this money, we can buy some time and make the community happy over there.
How much time do you think we're buying? I know it's a tough call.
What's that?
How much time do you think we're buying?
Probably 4 or 5 years. I mean, I'd say, and the biggest issue is
It
trying
gives
to,
us time to get it into this, into the CIP cycle.
Yeah.
And
the biggest thing is if your road's rutted and water's running down the ruts and you're not putting it in the basins, then then you're gonna lose it. You're going in the wrong direction. So if I can take the ruts out and put the water in the basins, then you're gonna be in a forward motion with it.
Are the shoulders undermining the edges of the pavement?
No, there's a lot of curbing on that up there, so we, right now, when you get to the bottom of Parker Street, the shoulders aren't that great, but that's a whole different project. The sections that we're on has curbing, but the water's not getting to the basins, so until I correct that, it won't get better.
All right, I make a motion that we accept the purchase order for $50,325 for paving and street repairs to Thurlow Parker or Porter Paving, Inc.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Set?
All right, right on time. Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you.
I'm going to open a public hearing. The public hearing is, Plymouth Selectboard welcomes all present for this public hearing pursuant to RSA 31:95B for the acceptance of unanticipated funds from the State of New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services for a culvert flood risk assistance grant in the amount of $51,893. The use of these funds will be for Loon Lake Road culvert flood risk mitigation and stream crossing restoration project. So at this time, I will take, well, actually,
June's here.
is June here? Oh, June's online. Yeah, June, do you want to give a quick summary of this project before I take public comment?
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. You guys are a little hard to hear tonight for some reason, but anyway, so this public hearing is required by the state of New Hampshire to accept grant funds from them. So back earlier this summer, we applied to the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services Culvert Flood Risk Assessance Program, and the town, they received 34 applications, I think it was, and they only were able to fund 4 communities. So it was a very competitive process. We did not receive the full funding to do engineering, design, and construction of replacing the first culvert on Loon Lake Road, which has been problematic for the community. And but we were awarded just almost $52,000 for that would cover the engineering work for the project. And what's interesting about this is it's actually enough. It should be enough to do the design, permitting, all the wetlands permits, things like that, and also engineering for construction inspection, but it will not cover the actual construction costs. So we will see that we're going to work on, assuming the town accepts the money, we would then proceed with trying to work with an engineering firm to do the design work. It probably, that will take about a year or so, and so it wouldn't be available for construction until 2024 at the earliest. So it does give the town a little bit of time to try to find some more funds to do the construction. There may be some additional grant funds in other places that we would try to look for, but at least it gets the project going, and certainly it's 100% funded by the state. There's no match required from the town for this work.
Thank you, June.
The construction estimate in our grant application that we had gotten through KV Partners was $272,000. So that would be an additional amount to actually do the replacement.
Any questions from June before I open it up to public?
So we have until December 2026 to expend these funds?
I couldn't understand you, I'm sorry.
We have until December of 2026 to expend these funds? It looks like.
Yes, I believe that's what's in the, we had a little bit of a change with them. We were trying to extend the timeline for the grant to go as long as possible. So in case the town was not able to do construction in 2024, it could be maybe 2025 if it took the extra time to get construction funding. So that engineering services would still be available and covered through this program.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I'll open for any public comments. Seeing no public comments, I will bring it back to the board. Any more comments from the board before I close the hearing? It is 5:19 and I'm closing the public hearing. Do we need a vote to accept the funds?
You do.
I'll make a motion that we accept the funds according to the document that June has laid out.
I'll second that. Might want to say the
Oh, the 51,893.
second.
Any discussion around that? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right.
Wow,
Thank you, June.
you covered several different signature lines, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I try not to.
Should hand it that way first.
Yeah, really.
Next up, Kevin Pierce, the Needs Assessment Committee for the new fire station, potential members discussion.
There's a letter in there, right? You guys got a letter, right?
Good evening. So last week, the board asked me to, or last meeting, correct? The board asked me to just accumulate a list of names of people interested, maybe call some people. The letter you have in front of you is a list of town residents, business owners, etc., that department heads are all expressed interest. It's a pretty lengthy list for a committee. I guess the intent of it, everyone here does have value. I'd like to add that we have a pretty good list of residents, you know, double shareholders, if you will, who are run businesses in town. And I guess we're kind of looking for direction from the board of how you guys want to continue. I know I pitched this in the beginning. My focus was the fire station, as I am the deputy fire chief, and it's the building I was really concerned about. And then some brought up the rec department and police, which are all valid departments who could value a new building. So I'm just looking for direction from you guys as where we should continue, move forward with this. I think on my end, looking at this list and looking at the intent for where I was going with it was establish a core committee of, you know, select board member, a budget member, which Mark Halloran's on there, the fire chief for myself and some townspeople. And then all these people here would definitely fit in with, you know, subcommittees for fire, the police department, the rec, or however we choose to continue. Certainly a good area to explore first is evaluating or assessing each department as it stands today, figure out the needs of that department and future needs, and then that gives us a good direction to go from there. And then also what the town requires, what the community is going to need of each department, because fire department, we just don't fight fires anymore. We pretty much wash windows these days. We do everything. So, and the police department's going that way, and the rec department certainly has their own large list of needs. So if you guys give us some direction, insight.
I'm going to ask you, I'm sorry, I'm going to ask you to move forward or bring the mic to you when you speak. Thank you.
Sorry, I thought I had a pretty big mouth.
No.
Not big enough. I like what you've said in this last paragraph of the letter you gave us, which is, you know, to assess the conditions of each department's facilities and understand what their needs are or not being met, as well as consider future needs. I think, to me, that feels like a good first charge, is to pull those groups together and come back and say, hey, collectively, we think we think this is the path, you know, this is the thing that we should aim for, right? So take it from, should it be a big thing? Should it be an individual thing? Should it be two individual things? Like, that's, to me, that's the next step, is to figure out what the needs are, so that then we can go take the next step of figuring out what, how would we serve that need. But locking that piece down feels like the next big step.
Absolutely.
You're talking, Zach, about fire, police, and Parks and
Recreation,
Rec?
yeah.
Okay, just to be clear.
Yep.
Okay. With that focus, because if everyone else is in agreement, the next question is, do we want all of these names on this list to be doing that, or do we want to select a core group to evaluate it so we can keep it more focused? That's a lot of names, so.
It is. I think the last time this was done was, in fact, I attended a couple of the meetings over in the community room at the library, and it was the whole group. And I don't know if they broke it up into subcommittees. They probably did, but by that time it was near the end when I kind of joined it. So
Yeah.
I'm not certain exactly how they progressed to a recommendation.
Was this the fire and police building that was gonna go on
Safety.
Langdon Street? Or was this something after that?
It was the safety building that was being proposed to have a joint, fire and police.
Yeah.
And Mary Crowley, I think, was the chair.
Yeah, Mark Halloran,
Yep.
Dean Yetton.
My brother.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So I'm not put off by the whole group
Okay.
meeting until you establish a need to have a subcommittee or something.
And my experience, I'm sorry, last time was that, not everybody shows up to every
Yeah.
meeting, so.
Yep.
Right.
If one select board member shows up and one member from the public and one member from the fire department, that's the way it seemed to work last time.
Even our CIP meetings that we had this summer, we had 60% attendance at most of them. So it was actually good to have more members. You could make some motion.
Yeah, you didn't feel bad if you couldn't make it because
Right.
it was only 3.
Right.
Yeah. And like the deputy said, there's, everybody in that list definitely is going to add value.
Mhm.
So are we looking at one building to house all these, separate, both?
I think that's one of the questions for the committee.
I think that's the first question, is what are the needs, and
Right.
should we be looking at a combined need, or should we back away from the idea of a combined need and focus on one or multiple?
Right, because we looked at a combined need once, or at least police and fire,
Right.
and
Yeah.
that just didn't pass.
My understanding is that failed to pass by 10 votes or some very, very small margin.
Pretty damn close.
Yeah.
Slim. And for whatever reason, it didn't continue forward the next year, so. We just gotta do something to protect, the town's assets. So that's why we're bringing this up right now.
In fact, I remember the last time they came forward with a design-build plan, and it was like rather simplistic, at least to consideration. So,
Yeah.
but
I got boxes of stuff in my office.
Yeah, we
From
put a
the
lot of
last
work, a lot
time?
of time and money went into that.
yeah,
We had gone so far as to do wetlands assessments on that property and had almost construction documents.
yeah.
Where was that proposed location?
I have a question.
It was where the hospital parking lot is now on
Oh.
Okay.
Langdon Street. And that fell through for a number of reasons.
What's the status of the National Guard Armory?
It's not looking that great for a while.
No.
They're not going to move very quickly on the new facility out on the Rotary, if they do.
Yeah, they're not looking to move quickly, and they're not really being super open to our assertion.
Well, by the time they actually move, we'll probably have a new adjutant general. So there may be a difference
Right.
of opinion.
Right. But it's not a quick solution anyway.
So looking at this committee that they've kind of put together, is the board willing to create a building assessment and needs committee?
Yes, I think that's what we should do.
Is that, yeah? Of the list of individuals here, is there anyone that you would take off or anyone that you would consider adding?
How did the group come about? Just
Well, I think that some of the key players were evident, i.e. select
Sure.
board members, firehouse. And then 2 weeks ago when we met, there were a couple of residents that expressed interest who are often helpful at meetings and committees. Mark Halloran was on before, so we thought he would add value again. And it was nice to have your brother, because he is an architect.
Right.
What's his availability?
Well, I believe, if you recall, he voted against it, so.
Okay. He still has
Up to-
value as an architect.
Has his mind changed?
I guess at the town meeting it did, yeah.
So start with this group that they have here, and have them report back to the board in a month or so and see how they're doing. 2 months, 3 months?
Yeah, I think 3 months would be.
3 months, so
Yeah,
we'll look at December.
yeah.
Is
Does
that,
make sense, Deputy?
or January,
Yeah,
whenever you're.
December, January, I mean, there's a lot, there's 3 buildings to go through, well, 2.5, I guess, you get 1 room in the school, but,
At least if you can give an update at
yeah.
that meeting.
I think
and-
the intent is gonna be to assess the police and fire the buildings thoroughly, and,
Yes.
yeah, I would say December.
Second meeting, December?
Okay.
You're also considering that, the building outside the high school too, right? Or,
Yeah,
yeah, so.
yeah, for the 3 buildings, there's a lot of property to build something on.
Yeah, the storage area that they have for Parks and Rec.
They have a lot of trucks and equipment, yeah. So, all right, second meeting of December?
Yes. It'd be the 4th Monday unless that's a holiday.
it's Christmas and New Year's.
One of my thoughts was, and I don't know how you all feel about this, but at some point we would solicit comments and input from the public. You know, do you want us to do that now, i.e. possible locations that others may have thought of that we haven't? I would think a survey, and maybe it's too early for that, but
Yeah, it does feel like
Early.
a little early, but I think some sort of survey at some point in this process is going to make sense.
okay. And I think just having this open forum now, if somebody has locations that they,
That's right. Yeah, starting to talk about this publicly, having it go out on cable or the streaming, people they'll start thinking about it and hopefully, grab you on the street or write an email into us, because we always want public input on things like this,
right.
for sure.
I'm going to change that date a little bit because of Christmas, was brought up.
Let's do January,
January 9th.
January 9th?
Does that work? Or we'll try to hit that date if we can. If
Sure.
something comes up, we
Yeah, we'll
move along.
present what we have at that time.
I just wanted to mention, the president CEO of New Hampshire Electric Co-op, Lssa Roberts, we approached her, and then she reached back out to me. She has a team of people. My thought was the whole movement of Energy Commission, focused, not using more energy we need to, et cetera. And she said she had a whole team that she'd be willing to put at her disposal, which is pretty nice of her.
Yeah, that's very nice.
It's a good resource.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, thank you. That's all I had. If you had anything else.
Well, getting this list of members together and this kind of charge, I think, is fantastic. So thank you for
Appreciate
that
your
legwork
time.
so far.
We don't need a vote, Ann, Kathy?
Actually, you were seeking initially, but you're all set with that.
Just a consensus of the board. They have direction.
Yeah. We had consensus.
We'll reach out if we need any more guidance.
Bill and Zach, you still interested?
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll be in touch. All right.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Joe, June, and Joseph, South Main Street project update.
So since June signed off, oh, there she is.
She's still there.
Yay. Didn't see your name.
She keeps going into hiding.
I don't think he's attending tonight. I decided we didn't both need to be here, so it's just, and I guess Joe is still there. I can't see the full audience.
Yes, Joe is
but,
still here.
He is.
I can go ahead and give an update if you want.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, let me find my notes here. I've got them on my screen. So the town had the bid opening for the downtown drainage project on September 15th, which was at 1 o'clock it was held up at Plymouth Village Water and Sewer. We received 3 bids, which was great news because that's what EDA likes us to have as a minimum number. One bid from Park Construction was around $3.5 million. From Calder Construction, 3.9, and Grancy and Sons about 5.1, and these are just rounded off numbers. So the apparent low bidder was Park Construction Corporation. But however, we ran into a very unusual situation because we also had the bid opening concurrently with the water and sewer, Plymouth Village Water and Sewer District's their bids opening for their major water sewer project. So when the bids were opened, they come in sealed envelopes. They were all delivered at the right time. At 1 o'clock opening, when the envelopes were opened, the packages were opened, it was discovered that the Plymouth Village Water and Sewers bid was in the envelope that had been dropped off at Town Hall. And the town's bid was actually in the envelope that was delivered to the Plymouth Village Water and Sewer office. So we've had about a week of sort of debating what to do and various different scenarios and considerations. And so even though Park Construction was the low bidder on both projects, actually, both the town, Kathy made the decision, the town and Water and Sewer District have decided to be best to rebid the project, both projects, to avoid any type of legal concerns or issues that might arise, and somebody could contest about the delivery of the bids and the mix-up of the envelopes. So it was advised that we probably be best to just go ahead and rebid it. So the next steps on that are, there was a contract amendment with HEB for some additional services for resulting in their efforts for rebidding, and Kathy, I believe, signed off on that contract amendment last week. And so the next step is HEB has to revise some of the plans to incorporate addendum that had been issued. That's not a major deal, but they just have to do it, and then we come up with a new timeline for bidding. We're working with Water and Sewer on that. We want to try to go as soon as possible. So there was a proposal to maybe start bidding around October 3rd. I've had a few emails today trying to push that back because EDA does have to approve the changes in the plans. And I just don't know how fast HEB can get that done. Josh has got some time off this week, and my schedule, so maybe more like the week of October 10th. We just don't know for sure yet. But we're required to have the bid opening for 30 days minimum. So we'd probably be looking at, maybe second week in November, sometime early November, maybe around the 10th or so, to have a new bid opening for both projects. So that's sort of unfortunate what happened, but that's the way it goes. Sometimes it was kind of an odd situation. I think it caught everybody by surprise, including the engineers, but that was the advising to go ahead and try to redo it. And of course, all the contractors are invited to bid again.
So that was just an update by June. We don't have to
We don't have
vote
to-
on
We
anything.
don't have to vote on anything or do
Nope.
anything.
Kathy is the signer on the grants and the, so we can just move forward.
Okay.
I have to say, it was very
Thank you.
unfortunate that they screwed up their stupid envelopes. Jesus. How stupid.
Yeah. Very frustrating outcome, but hopefully round 2 goes more smoothly. LSSA negotiation preparations.
So a while back, we, before we signed the extension with PSU, we met with Matt Upton, who's the attorney for Drummond and Woodsum, and he had offered to come back and work for the board, doing a negotiation come probably January, but what we wanted to do is get the board's approval to move forward with them, so that we can start getting them whatever information they need now, so that you're ready to go in January.
Yes.
Yes.
Does the board agree?
Yeah.
Consensus?
What's the cost associated with that?
I don't know, I can find out from him.
Do you know how we're how we're doing on our legal line item this year? Because I would assume it would come out of that.
Right.
I'm sorry, I did not bring the budget
No, it's okay.
with me. I don't know.
Next time we discuss it, we could just check in on that.
Yep.
So I'll see if I can get a price from him to bring back to the next meeting, and we'll have that number for you as well.
Perfect. That's good. The other thing that you and I briefly talked about last week was whether we should also engage him to help us speak with some of the nonprofits in town.
Right.
Be nice to make some motion on that as well. Do you need anything else on that one? We're good. Awesome. Bill Bolton, trash receptacles on Main Street discussion.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of discussion and postings on Facebook regarding the disappearance of the trash cans and I guess the lack of advance notice and the question about like how long, and I still have that question as well. I guess the motion was for like a 1 month trial, 1 or 2 month trial. And so anyway, I've been calling around. It turns out, I assumed that like Littleton didn't have trash cans. Well, actually Littleton does have trash cans. And I just don't necessarily want to emulate either Littleton and or Meredith, but they're both beautiful downtowns. I think Meredith does not have trash cans. Littleton has them. They have no problem with it. And
Who's responsible for it? Parker-Mac, the town?
actually, it's highway.
Cycling? The highway.
Yep. And I talked with the highway supervisor today, and it's Doug Dormco, whatever. And you know, he said there's been literally like no trouble with them. I don't think they have as many as we do, you know, for the whole length of Littleton Road. You know, I think he was saying there was like 5 or something like that, 5 or 6. And we got 13 in a small little area. And they have similar issues that we have, where they have, you know, apartments above Main Street buildings. And, I mean, several of the people that live in our apartments don't have cars. They can't, you know, drive to the transfer station, so they've been using the outdoor receptacles. So, I mean, I think there's definitely a need for the trash receptacles. And there should probably, well, I'll, you know, think we could probably come up with a solution that might, you know, accommodate some of the needs of people that on the second floor of some of the downtown businesses. And also, actually, they also have a Parks and Rec component as well. And for the park area, they have Parks and Rec, you know, deal with their receptacles. So, you know, I think we had not a knee-jerk reaction to a real annoyance of the trash receptacles being tipped over and trash or broken, but there may be a reasonable response through some discussion about how we can actually, you know, accommodate downtown need.
Despite some of the Facebook conversation, I've walked through downtown in the past couple of weeks, and I'm not seeing more trash.
See, I don't know who deals with that. The businesses do it or what?
So I know for myself, we have a trash barrel inside, and that's gotten used more. People even just stop in to throw stuff.
Sure.
So we're filling up faster, but I don't have a problem with that. But I too have looked in the greens and whatnot, and I don't see an increase other than normal, what we normally see.
Talked with Lssa Ash at the end of last week, so it's like third hand, but I talked with Lssa and she said Robert had done a pickup routine on the common And he said normally he comes away with half a 5-gallon bucket of garbage, and he had a full 5-gallon bucket of garbage, which was the difference.
It's kind of interesting that, so he just goes in and picks up stuff.
Anything that's been like thrown or scattered, it's under a bush, or, you know,
He goes and checks the common every Monday, and that's where he got the buckets of, he said like a 5-gallon bucket.
That's interesting because PSU also, I saw somebody like having a grabber, picking up like, you know, plastic bottles and stuff.
yeah.
You know, so they either hire somebody or, you know, to go around and just pick up, you know, trash that's on the street.
In the town?
What's that?
In the town?
On
On
like
campus.
Highland, you know, it's, yeah, it's like,
Oh, on Highland, not Main
yeah,
Street.
well, no, it's like the bushes and stuff going along Highland.
So Jim from recycling also said that he has not seen any trash on Main Street and that nobody's contacted him about the receptacles being gone.
See, I don't know how much is actually, I mean, if you were like a business owner or something like that, you wouldn't want it just sitting there, you know?
Here's the other thing. Maybe I'm crazy, but we did see a little bit on Facebook. If this really truly was a problem that people were outraged about, you know, to the level of parking, perhaps we would have people in the audience who are here upset. It's one thing to post on Facebook and say, wow, I can't believe they removed trash cans from downtown for not the reasons that they removed trash cans from downtown, because the reasons that I saw on Facebook were pretty uneven.
I've also seen,
Those people haven't come here.
I've seen Facebook posts that are the opposite. They are very supportive of having them removed. So you've got both sides.
Yeah, and to be clear, the false reason that there were people who posted that said it was because we were having staffing issues, which is not why we removed them. Our staffing at the recycling center is fine.
Don't most businesses and apartment houses have their own dumpsters?
Well, dumpsters are at least trash cans in the businesses. I mean, dumpsters would be out back or,
Yeah, I wonder what is the you're right though, usually if you have an apartment, there's some sort of service for you to have your, like all of the student apartments usually have a dumpster associated with the student apartment.
yes, yeah.
So
I've heard stories about
If you're a
those.
resident of an apartment house, you have a place to put your trash.
Which shouldn't be the Main Street trash receptacles.
Wherever there's an apartment building, there should be a dumpster to put your trash in.
I'm not sure if that accommodation has been made for, you know, everyone or anyone on Main Street, but it might be worth inquiring about, but
I know the planning board has stipulations for dumpsters.
true. But these are like antiquated, like apartments that may not have that accommodation or that deal.
I still don't think, even if that's the case, I don't think the Main Street trash receptacles are the solution for household residential waste. That was never the intent.
Okay, but Littleton also, you know, uses their trash receptacles for that too.
Just pass them around if you would.
Scott Wheaton, did you want to make a comment?
Disagree with anything that's being said, but in the last 3 weeks, the traffic on the Main Street, the summer activities of the Main Street have ceased. And you don't see the people downtown having lunch on the common as we would in the months of June, July, and August. So I just caution to be careful about that because it is going to come again. And we're going to need to do something, or someone's going to have to pick things up. I would agree, Zach. There hasn't been a lot of debris down there in the last 2 or 3 weeks, but it's a quiet time right now. Foliage season hasn't started. The tourists haven't come back.
This is why we gave it an evaluation period, right?
Right.
Not for us to knee-jerk react as a board to some Facebook pushback, but to allow some time to happen so that we can see a little bit more seasonal activity in that space and see how the public behaves.
I would agree.
But so far,
When I come down over the hill in the morning, there's a few things. but
half a 5-gallon bucket is not worth, constant trash removal,
And like you said, I think it's going to be a seasonal thing.
right? It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see.
I also believe that people will get used to them not being there. I mean, right now, they're used to them being there. So, yeah, they're going to say stuff about them being gone, but they'll get used to it like they get used to everything, you know, when you change stuff.
Yeah.
So,
It's still the wait and see. I'm not sure why we would stop waiting and seeing. And I, for one, thought we'd see more trash, but that's not been the case, at least for me.
and we do that paper that was going around. We ordered signs for each side of the common that would say this is a, you know, what is it, a
Carry in.
carry in, carry out, and, you know, you need to be respectful of our area.
Yeah. And just to be clear, if this turns into a mess, I'll be the first one to say, let's get the trash back
Yeah.
place.
There's also the flip side is that it's convenience, you know, it's a service that is there for, and if you're walking down the street of a community, it's nice to be able to, you know, see a trash can and throw something out. Like Littleton only picked up their trash of like 5 or 6 trash cans twice a week. And in like the highest of tourist seasons, they would do it like 3 or 4 times per week. So, and they only have, it looks like the 30-gallon, you know, decorative, like iron type of, you know, black container that, they would use. So, but yeah, it's a convenience, it's a nicety for a downtown.
The other thing is Littleton and Lincoln are not college communities like we have.
It's true. I mean, and I think you can take trash receptacles and you can pitch them as a nicety, as a convenience. You can also pitch them as an eyesore, as a bad smell, attracting animals and pests and fly. Like, right?
I asked them, I actually asked the head of their highway up there, and they don't see any animals, which is kind of like peculiar. Or, you know, it just seems like it's picked up frequently enough, unless someone puts like a chicken sandwich in there or something like that, or, you know, but I guess there's certain circumstances where it normally would not be an animal problem or odor.
Maybe we could do some research on trash receptacle design. Maybe there's some type of design that can't be knocked over, but it's easy to clean out or something like that.
They have the ones that are either affixed to the concrete or a pole, you know, so like the light poles. They have like decorated lamp poles, you know, up there. And,
Yeah.
so it wouldn't be tipped over. Or it would be kind of hard to tip them over. Anyway.
Yeah, Joe, did you have a comment?
I do. So I frequent a lot of the different other towns, and so I notice that on the weekends, like in Meredith, they have a crew of guys from the town that are out, like especially down near the docks where all the boats are. And so there is some activity with doing, you know, some cleanup there. But if we're worried about picking up the cans and then people not coming, so if we have these big events that we plan, you know, we could look into the idea of maybe these events, maybe adding a fee, so if we need to hire somebody like Waste Management or Witcher to have some kind of, you know, trash removal there for the event, you know, add it to the fee of whoever's putting on, sponsoring the event. You know, it's just an idea of maybe, you know, if it becomes a problem. Because if we have the events and then people, like he says, if people don't stop coming, then we got to look at different avenues. So it's just an idea to throw out there.
Chief.
That's a great point, and I think in our outdoor gathering permit, as health officer, we do review that, who's taking care of the trash when. So that's, you know, we obviously continue to monitor those events that way too.
Chief mentioned that in the outdoor permit, there's a section to indicate who's dealing with the waste.
Who usually does? Person holding the event, or what do you see?
The applicant.
Okay. And would they come out afterwards, or?
Yeah, they're responsible for the removal. I mean, a lot of times it's the town, right, like for the parades, we end up picking up the trash, or an event at the skate park, you know, it's that group that made the application that's responsible. We've not had an issue with that.
So, we're gonna be doing it for probably another month then, or?
I would say at least another 2 weeks, if not 4.
Okay, and just, evaluate what's.
Monitoring.
Yeah. All right, sounds good.
Scott, with an order to raise and remove.
So I think you have in front of you a copy of the order to raise and remove with regards to 295 Main Street, located next to where the old McDonald's was and across from where the lodge is. If you recall, I was in here 2 weeks ago and spoke to you about the letters, the notice of violations that were sent to Shiv Hospitality, first on May 18th with absolutely no response, and the second one on June 21st with absolutely no response, and there was signature for the certified mail that was sent. So with this being said, over the past 2 weeks, I've worked with Attorney Radigan, and this is the order to raise and remove hazardous buildings based on RSA 155B, which provides the authority vested under 155B2 to the Board of Selectmen to move this forward. And so I would ask that you sign this so that we can get this moving in district court. It does allow the owner to contact me within 10 days of service of this order by the Grafton County Sheriff's Department, and within 60 days has to have the building and debris removed from that location. If not, we will move forward in district court and place a lien on the property for the cost associated with the demolition and debris being removed.
Is the cost listed in here, Scott?
I'm sorry,
Is
ma'am.
the cost listed in here?
The
Or do you
cost
have
is
an idea?
roughly $30,000. Prior to issuing the notice of violations, I spoke with 2 demolition companies, and they ranged between $28,000 and $32,000 from a street view of what would have to be done. Because not only is the building hazardous, but also, I think Kevin and Tom can attest to how many mattresses are out in back of that building that have been placed there from motels, hotels that this family owns. So it does need to be cleaned up. So I would just ask for your signatures so that we can get this back to Attorney Radigan and get this moved forward this week.
Both letters were certified? I mean, they had to certify it when they received it, or the May and the June?
Yes, I
Okay.
have the certified copies and receipts for both of those letters.
Both received, no response.
Correct.
Say we move forward.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion?
Sure.
I'll make a motion that we provide Scott the ability to move forward on this, if that means giving Zach authority to,
We're all going to sign
Sign.
it. I've
Let's
got
go.
the letter right in front of us.
Yeah, we're all gonna sign it.
oh, okay, perfect.
You just have to move to sign it.
Move to sign.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Ann or Kathy, will you scan this and get this back to John tomorrow morning, or
Yes.
do you want me to do that?
Yeah, we can do it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
We're going to
The
have,
original in your box, Scott?
Should be the second,
mind.
Mary Ann, it should be
Grace is
the
coming in.
third page.
Yep,
Yeah.
got it, thank you.
so,
While that circulates for signature, Kathy and Ann, discussion of Chatterin Lane, Point of View Drive, and Ski Lift Lane.
And actually, June is still on.
And Mr.
And
Jones is
that's,
Jeff Hiltz is in the audience.
Okay.
So this was a letter that was submitted, right? You want to come up? Sure.
You go.
A letter submitted by Jeff. And I
Hey,
think-
Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
They're just, they've been giving your information over the weekend, just to review,
Sure.
and,
I'm
they're just
I'm
kind
here
of
just to
going
answer any
through.
questions if there are any, sure.
The public doesn't necessarily know everything that's in here. Could you give us just a brief summary so that anybody who's listening or watching has some idea what we're talking about?
Well, I'm the developer slash road contractor of the Frontenac subdivision, and most all the road work's been complete with the exception of the final guardrail and the final course of pavement. And I had a meeting with June, and she has talked to Mike Vinali from KV Partners and has come up with a cost to review the plans and review the potential work. And at this point in time, we'd like to complete that work and get it turned over to the town.
Okay.
And this work is for all 3 roads?
Yes. Unless the town has other ideas, that's open for discussion.
So Joe's taking a look at the plans and June's
Well,
looked
this is
at
just to start that process.
Oh, okay.
That's my understanding. June gave me a copy of what the requirements were, and hopefully that's what we've submitted.
Okay, so these are the last couple of requirements that, once you meet, then the town would have the opportunity to take it on.
Does the vote to accept new roads, does that have to go to town meeting, or does the board vote for, how does?
My understanding, it was a board vote, but I could be
Okay.
wrong.
That's what I
The
thought, too.
select board can decide whether they want to take it, and if the select board chooses not to, then it can get petitioned to town meeting.
Okay. Joe, did you have a comment to make?
Yeah. So the plan is, if this is approved, that Mike Vignali and I get together and review what he has left to do up there, and so there will be an overview of what's left to do. It'll be overseen by Mike Vignali and myself, and before we sign off, so.
Yeah, essentially, you have a final punch list to make sure
Right.
it was done, yeah?
So we won't be signing off without, going through that process.
Perfect, thank you.
Solicit any comments from June as well, or is she?
Yeah, June, do you have any comments on this?
So I hope the, I'm not sure if you guys have in front of you, but the town has a Town of Plymouth policy for the acceptance of town roads that was adopted just 20 years ago, September 23rd, 2002. So that gives a pretty detailed kind of cookbook listing of steps to take. So I had provided that to Jeff a few weeks ago, and so he brought in last week sort of the initiation of that, which is the first step to write to the select board to request these set of roads that he's in charge of and owns, that they, to have the town take it over. So he's doing that. The next step is that the community planner is going to review and the plans and any conditions based on the old subdivision plans that go back 20 years or so. We haven't had a chance to do that. To be honest, there's a big box in my office that's not super well organized. So Joseph and I are going to maybe tomorrow start digging into that to get a little bit better sense of the chronology and what had happened. And then I had reached out to the town engineer, KV Partners, Mike Vignali, so we had a quote for his initial review of the road. So I believe Jeff has provided money to set up an escrow account and have that all there.
Hey,
Which is great.
June,
Thank you, Jeff.
June, I believe your microphone is it's creating noise. Is there? Do you
Oh,
have a
maybe I've got my papers on that, sorry.
Yep, that's it.
I have a limited desk space, right? I got papers from the different projects going on here. Sorry. So yeah, we have to do this review of the files, and then we'll get the engineer working on it, and they can Mike Vignelli can talk with Joe and go over things. And then I think Jeff's aware that whatever list of possible things that need to still be corrected or are deficiencies, it'll be the owner's responsibility to do that. There's another piece too of providing a deed for these roads. So we would also want to have escrowed monies, to have the town attorney review the deeds. So there's still a number of things to do, but I guess, it's starting this process and, getting that going, which is, I guess, time to do that. So like I said, probably by the next board meeting, Joseph Perez and I will try to get a memo together, sort of summarizing what we see in the planning records based on the old subdivision. So, these are public roads, they're just not publicly owned. So there's a difference between that. And I did talk to Jeff, there might be a need to have a new plan come back to the planning board to correct. I don't think we have an as-built for the top of Point of View where there's a hammerhead instead of a cul-de-sac that's at the Registry of Deeds, shows the cul-de-sac. So we have to have some kind of change there, but we'll figure that part out. That's one thing that I'm going to be looking for within that, but we'll find a way to work with Jeff on any deficiencies on the planning side, I guess, and have them come back to the planning board with a new plan if need be to get something at the Registry of Deeds.
What June's referring to there, just to bring the board up to date.
Get a little closer to the mic, sir.
I'm sorry?
Just a little closer to the mic.
Sorry. Phase 3, which was the last portion of the development, during the construction of that, the fire chief at the time, whose name I believe was Chief Tebow, had requested that the cul-de-sac be changed from a cul-de-sac to a hammerhead turnaround, which we did. And it still fits within the existing right-of-way that the deeds accommodate. But to June's point, that may have to go back to the board just to show that it had been changed.
Okay.
Well, and also sign plan, isn't it in like Woodsville, the actual plan, or Haverhill or whatever, that?
The plan that would show the cul-de-sac but not the hammerhead.
Yeah. So that's gonna have to be corrected?
That possibility exists. That's what June is referring to.
Right.
And she and I have already had that discussion.
Yep, okay. I remember June brought it to my attention a while ago, so.
So can I just add a comment to that? Sorry, it was a little hard to hear exactly what you guys were saying, but well, it's my understanding that there was some authorization to have the layout of the road at the top there as a hammerhead as opposed to a cul-de-sac. I believe what's at the registry shows the cul-de-sac. So the deed description for the road needs to match the plan. So we'll have to get a new plan. And the planning board by statute, as my understanding, has the authority to approve the layout of roads like this, not the fire chief. And so even though it may have been sought out and approved in a way, we're not sure if the record was properly channeled through the planning board. We'll find a way to get that worked out with Jeff. I've already talked to him about that, but just keep that in mind. It might have that extra step. So because we have to have a plan at the registry that is used for the deed description for the road. We want to have it accurate.
And I agree with everything June's saying. I'm not in disagreement.
Well, it's been a long time coming.
Pardon me?
It's been a long time coming.
Wow, yeah.
Project's
I'm ready to retire, so I want to get this out of the way.
it's pretty well built out, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
I believe, Neil, I could be mistaken, but there's about 28 to 30 homes that are built up there now. Yeah. And I think initially there was 41 or 42 lots.
I know the owners will be happy.
What do we need to vote on here? We need to vote to move the.
So first of all, I just want to check, June, are you working on the escrow agreement?
I submitted a check in for that
I
already.
got your check.
Oh,
We
okay.
just need to double check to make sure that the escrow agreement is updated.
Oh, I think that has to be, but.
Yep. June, were you going to work on that, or at least send one over that I can modify?
Yeah, we have a standard escrow agreement that we use for planning board functions, and I started to realize that this is actually a request to the select board, but we can use the same
Form.
template that we regularly use for planning, plan review, and construction inspection. So yes, I have that open on my laptop here. I just haven't. I'll work with you tomorrow. I'll be in the office tomorrow, and we can discuss it then.
So we need a vote to allow Kathy Lowe as town manager to sign the escrow agreement between the town and Mr. Hiltz, and a vote to allow Kathy Lowe as town manager to sign the agreement with KV Partners LLC as outlined in his agreement for the notice to proceed.
Could I say so moved?
Yes.
I was hoping so.
I got a move and a second. Who was second? I'm sorry. Oh, Mary and Ted.
I'll second. I thought you
Okay,
did.
that's good.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Jeff, you're all set until we get in touch with you, which probably won't be too long.
Okay.
But June has your number.
Yes.
So we'll go ahead and reach you if we need to through that.
Okay.
And you'll be all set.
All right, good.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
You still need this chair here?
You can leave it there. You never know.
Hot seat.
All right. Joe, Bell Road work discussion.
So I was asked to get a quote to do Bell Road, because they had a petition to try to get that paved.
Yeah.
So to go from Reservoir to Morse Road, that was gonna be $93,942.
So that's what pull-off means, Morse Road?
So I got a price to go from Reservoir to that pull-off, which is about halfway.
Okay.
And that price was $54,902. So
That's
roughly
mostly,
it's $100,000 to go to Morse Road and $55,000 to go to halfway point.
that's mostly the hill, right?
Is that?
The halfway point, yeah.
Yeah, so there's like a pull-off halfway. And someone just bought that piece of property, so that little pull-off that we've been using is actually gonna be somebody's driveway. Yeah. But, so that's my update. As far as, the petition, this is where I'm at with it, but
Yep.
I'm not sure whose decision of if it wants to get approved or how you want to lay it out in a capital, but as a priority. So we'll have to have that discussion sometime.
Yeah, I mean, the CIP committee, this road wasn't really on their radar at all.
Right.
So this didn't appear
Yep.
in that plan.
Would this go to town meeting?
Well, it could either go into one of Joe's budgets or it could go to town meeting for a vote. Alternatively, we could go back to the homeowners and ask them to petition it onto the budget, onto the warrant directly, not through the select board. So there's kind of those three paths. But given that it wasn't a priority on the CIP, I think my tendency would be to let it work through that capital funding process.
Right, I guess we could, start putting some money in there, and then when it becomes a priority, then we could figure out which budget it's gonna be in and then try to fit it in that way. But like I said, they made it seem like a priority, so I did this
I think
part.
getting the price was a priority, right?
Yeah.
I think being able to say it costs it's a $100,000 project. We'd love to do it. There's a lot of $100,000 projects we'd love to do.
Absolutely. Okay,
So the signs,
But that's me. That's not the board. That's just me.
the signs are up now, right?
yep, the signs are up, and we did put some material on there, and we've been keeping the, what we can for calcium out there, so we're trying to do a better job in.
So we've reduced the speed and we've treated the road to reduce the
Correct.
dust. So those two things have happened.
So I did what I was asked. I just wanted you to make aware that I gave you a price, but as far as how it works out in the budget, we'll have to talk about that.
Neil, did you have a comment?
At this time, from Morse Road intersection to where the pullover is, nobody lives there.
No.
There's one house on the
One
corner.
house
On a
on a corner.
So that was my argument when they first asked, so that's why I gave you a price to go halfway.
I think the halfway point is mainly the hill, and that's where the big problem is. It's a steep hill, and it's had a lot of problems in history.
So,
Grace Garvey, did you have a comment?
Is it okay to do that? You know, I
I'm
have really
recognizing
good
you.
friends who also live in that road close to those folks that were speaking one night when I happened to be here about the concern about dust. They're really concerned about paving that because of, you know, people tend to speed. And they were so appreciative of Joe going out there so quickly and putting those signs up. And they say it's really helping, like the combination of those things. I just want to, like, I've let them know that you guys are still having that conversation. But it was my understanding you guys are just getting numbers and figuring out what the options are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just my perspective.
Thanks, Grace.
Karen?
they have called me and, you know, thanked me for all that we've done to get to this point, so, but I just don't have the answer of
Yep.
how you want to
No, I
proceed, so. but the
my
numbers are
perspective
there.
was, let's get the numbers, let's understand what that cost could be, and now we either, you know, we work it through the capital improvement process, or they could petition for their own warrant article.
Okay.
Or if someone else on the board was excited about another path, but that was my thinking.
So
Okay,
the treatment you put down, is that something you have to continue to do every 6 months, year?
well, we put more out there than we have anywhere else this year. For whatever reason, the wind and it's like a hillside and it's open. There's like some fields, and it just dries out, and the sun gets there and dries out that hill. The sun comes in just right, and it takes a little more to keep that maintained than some of the other areas. The way the dust works is wherever it's really sunny, that's where you're gonna get the dust. If you have a canopy of trees, then you know, it helps you keep that dust control down. But there's
Right.
no canopy through there, so it's wide
That's
open.
where we treated, you treated it, right? So how often will you have to go back to, you know?
Well, I bet we've been out there 10 times this summer.
Oh,
And most of the other places only maybe a half a dozen times. It's just it's more of a problem area, but I'm not sure if the previous owners had children, but I know that's one of the factors is pushing this is.
that's true.
Anything else from the board around Bell Road? No? All right. Thanks, Joe. New Hampshire broadband discussion. I think this is partly my agenda item, partly yours, Bill.
Just how it was set up.
Ooh, is it?
He's got his own.
I don't know. Maybe it's just mine.
That's got Tim Murphy and Jeff Hayes. Okay, Jeff Hayes. Broadband's more important than ever.
So, last time we had, last time we met, I think it was last time we met, we had Leo Dwyer come in and we talked about the county program where they're putting in the middle mile, where NHEC is also building their own middle mile, but also building last mile in any communities where they have power service and they own the poles. The county is continuing to push forward on this broadband project, and actually Leo emailed me today to say this week the county's getting together on Grafton County website says they're holding a public hearing on Thursday at 2 p.m. And then a vote for the legislative delegation to appropriate an additional $7.5 million for an NTIA match to continue building out this middle mile.
So, yeah, I spoke with one of the commissioners, and they, indicated that there was been like frequent conversations with Leo Dwyer there, and they're still working through the details. Like, I thought it would be fairly easily accomplished to say, okay, you're responsible for this, and they're continuing with the project. So but I know that they would have to accommodate the electric cooperative, but the electric cooperative is not going to be doing all of the county. So there still is going to be a project that has to go through regardless. And I thought
Well,
the
but
NTA.
it's still very conceptual, even that anybody will build on this, right? Like they could, I don't know which towns in the county don't have NHEC, but for example, this is a huge county investment that the town of Plymouth will get zero benefit from in the conceivable future.
From the county, or?
From the county project.
What do you mean zero benefit?
Well, if they build them, they're gonna build this huge middle mile infrastructure, right?
Yep.
And the electric company already has a middle mile that comes to here. The electric company is gonna do the build out to all the homes. No third-party company is gonna come in and build on the county's middle mile when there's a competitor in our town already, because the finances of rural broadband aren't that good to begin with. So why would you invest that money in a market that's already highly competitive?
Apparently, that's what they're also aware of that too, and that's what they're trying to like work through the issues that Leo Dwyer has been bringing forward to the commission. And
Do you know if they're actually working through the issues, or are they just kind of head in the sand ignoring them?
I heard they are working through the issues, hopefully successfully. And if that Thursday meeting is it a meeting of the board, or
It's a public hearing followed by a meeting to vote to accept the funds.
Okay, because I heard that they were turned down for their application for federal funds from NTIA, but that was like in August.
Okay,
so
this
maybe they
was
reapplied or
from
something.
Leo this morning.
Okay. All right, well, I'm not certain how further we can weigh in. I think it's up to electric cooperative to negotiate with the commission to make sure that they're not like further wiring something that's already wired.
Yeah, I mean, my only concern is that if nobody, I don't know, is anybody asking the questions there? I mean, our taxpayers' money goes to paying that county tax, and then that county tax goes to spending $7.5 million on something that
We don't need.
quite likely will never benefit.
Yeah,
Well,
well, that's-
definitely won't benefit anyone in our community, but quite likely won't benefit the county more generally.
So we'd be responsible for, at least the county would be responsible for the match. NTA would be, so if
Right.
if we eat the cost, it's probably not as quite as bad as if we're gonna eat the whole cost, but even still, they are working through their issues. And I don't know how much more negotiation they need to do, but to the extent that we might be getting some funds, or at least chunked out of the grant itself. That,
One thing that I know that when they met with us, they mentioned was wanting to also engineer a last mile plan for the town of Plymouth. I strongly feel like they shouldn't waste $1 engineering a last mile plan for the town of Plymouth.
who shouldn't?
Because New Hampshire
County
Electric
should.
Co-op is
Yeah.
doing it.
No, I
The
know.
co-op already has
I
a
know,
plan
yeah. We
for
don't-
last mile internet, so the county shouldn't also develop a plan that no one will use.
Well,
that-
that
It's just
plan's-
repetitive.
Yeah, well,
bad-
that plan's already made, though. We were handed that. We don't need to follow it.
No, NHEC's plan's already been done.
No,
They were talking about how they were going to contract an engineer to do a last mile plan for the town of Plymouth. The county.
Okay, I
was saying.
thought that was done.
No, not done. Something they said they were going to do.
Okay. All right, so,
My temptation would be to write a letter to the county commissioners to say, the town of Plymouth is highly suspect of this project and the benefit, certainly to our community, and maybe questioning the benefit to the greater county when this other project is actively underway, as opposed to still in engineering.
What's that Thursday meeting? You said a hearing, but is it a commissioner meeting or is it a broadband committee or?
So the Grafton County public hearing will be held Thursday, September 29th at 2 p.m. at the Grafton County Administration Building. Purpose of this public hearing is to receive public comment regarding the proposed NTIA middle mile broadband grant application and the required 30% match funds. The delegation will consider a supplemental appropriation of up to $7.5 million for the purpose of funding the match requirement, with the funds to come from the unassigned fund balance. Immediately following the public hearing will be a meeting of the Grafton County delegation, also held in the same building, same room,
Okay,
for the following purposes: to vote to authorize and to discuss any other matters to come before the delegation.
I wouldn't mind going over there and expressing those concerns. And the delegation are the reps that basically would, in fact, if they would hear this as well, that'd be beneficial.
Do you have the space to go over there?
Yep, I'm just looking at so the 29th?
Yeah, it's Thursday, right?
Yep.
Thursday. I do not have the space to go. Because Jeff was actually, Leo said, is there any chance that you could go? And I was like, no, I can't. Can't be in Haverhill on Thursday. But
Yeah.
if the rest of the board agrees, I mean, if the rest of the board doesn't agree, you could still go as a private citizen. But
True.
I agree.
I would tend to want to send you to speak on behalf of the board.
Okay. Well, if the rest of the board,
Absolutely. I think we need to be heard, so.
yep.
It doesn't feel like a time for wasteful spending. It just seems, I mean, I know there's more money and there's money floating around and there's these
Yeah,
grants and these
it's-
infrastructure projects.
It's like
and
COVID monies.
It
that
doesn't
was
matter
like
that it's coming from
ripped
the
off.
unassigned fund balance.
Yeah,
It's just like, is there something better we can do with that money?
yes.
Okay. So if you have any concerns that I may not have hit or, maybe unclear about, I'll bring those concerns as well and discuss them. I think I'm pretty clear, though.
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
All right.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks for being the sacrificial lamb.
Do I get mileage or?
Charge us to transport center.
There you go.
Well, I'll put the placards on the side of the car.
Okay, on to committee reports. Village Water and Sewer Commission.
We don't have a meeting till tomorrow. I do have a conflict. That's 5 o'clock, and we're supposed to do the solar traits around town at 4. Which would be more?
I think the Trapes.
I think so too. I looked at the agenda and it's pretty light.
Okay.
All right, I'll let them know. Thanks.
Planning Board, Neil.
We met on the 15th of September. We adopted the new site plan review regulations. The Capital Improvement Program Committee discussed a motion to include the Energy Commission and the Conservation Commission on the CIP committee starting after town meeting 2023, and that was agreed upon and approved. There was a discussion about setback distances for housing in single-family and multifamily and grandfathered properties in the village and height requirement set and front setbacks. There seems to be some confusion about front setbacks on Main Street. We also had a very lively discussion about chickens and roosters, and I guess the general feeling was that we shouldn't have roosters in the community. And it's not legal to have chickens, but a lot of people do, so we probably should make some changes there. So that was a discussion. The planning staff presented a stormwater management program asset proposal, and also the grant from New Hampshire DES to design the replacement of the Loon Lake Road culvert over Loon Brook, which is next to Dave Cody's horse pasture. We also had a discussion about the time for posting of minutes, and also master plan implementation. And that was it.
You skipped over the fact that the planning board approved the CIP.
Right.
Yeah. You said we discussed it, but
Right.
it was approved.
The important thing is that the Energy Commission and the Conservation Commission are going to have representatives on the CIP committee,
Which is good.
starting after town meeting, because CIP committee's already done most of their work for this year.
Right, it's done, it's
But,
right, the plan is
You know, it's
finalized.
really important that those commissions are included.
And I, for one, am on the side of legalizing chickens.
Legalizing chickens.
But hens, not roosters.
Yeah, what do you feel about?
Hens.
Part of the
Legalize the
discussion was that you have to have enough chickens so they don't freeze. And, you know, they all huddle together, I guess, and
hens. True.
stay warm.
Frozen
and
chicken.
The weasel doesn't get them.
Purdue over there? Stop it.
They're yummy.
I don't know, the bobcats where I live, the bobcats and the fisher cats and the weasels are,
The
You know, they
proposed
clean 'em right
zoning
out.
change is only for eggs and not for slaughter, so.
oh, you can't slaughter chickens, no.
That, under the proposed amendment. Moving on from chickens, the Campus Community Council, Ted, we got your update already, which is that it's
They're
they're meeting.
on Wednesday at 6 PM right here and on Zoom.
Enjoy.
It's on the agenda.
Yeah, what is on the agenda?
Let's see, from recollection, there, at the top of the agenda is an update from PSU on their enrollment numbers, hopefully over the last 4 or 5 years, so that people can see trends. A discussion about the noise/trash on Pleasant/ Russell Pirate Party, and there was one other thing.
Homecoming.
Well, you skimmed right by that like it was a small thing.
No, it wasn't homecoming. I'm trying to remember. I have to go back in my.
Okay, just
There was
curious.
one other thing on there. I think parking.
Parking. Be interesting to hear how that all goes. Plymouth Elementary School.
Their next meeting is October 3rd at 6 PM.
This is me scurrying to try to find out when the high school's next meeting is. It's in my calendar, I think.
I scurried
October.
before we got to the top.
I know,
just
you're
scurrying.
one bit faster than me. So, high school meets on October 4th at 5 PM.
That's consistent with what I expect,
Exactly.
because I couldn't be there.
Because you had class. Conservation Commission, Neil.
Okay, we had a meeting on September 20th. Lisa Donor opened the meeting as chair. We had a guest by the name of Tom McShane. He's a Plymouth resident. Ina Ahern gave a report on the cleanup and control of invasive species at Odiorn Point, which is a very intensive project, which is very successful and can provide a template for us to clean up school property and start a public information campaign. There's also discussion about improving the website, and we discussed our request for budget for next year, 23-24, and Ina Ahern made a motion for a $7,000 budget and a $5,000 capital reserve budget, which passed unanimously by the Conservation Commission. And they want to consider using the community garden area, I think it belongs to Alex Ray, as a showcase for the removal of Oriental bittersweet, which is a very difficult invasive to deal with. We had a discussion about the our big project. It's the Oxbow project across the river, and we're working with the town of Holderness primarily, and the New Hampshire DES, and there's a grant application in process, which has been approved by the state, and I guess the National Park Service has accepted our application, and part of the project is to purchase land which belongs to Phil Friel, who's the owner of the golf course. I think it's White Mountain Golf Course. Is that what they call it? And he's selling the golf course. This large tract of land is separate from the golf course, but he's selling the golf course to the same people that own the Owl's Nest Golf Course. And so they're in the process of working with him and getting funding from the National Park Service. And also, private group known as Fowl Incorporated has purchased the Plymouth Athletic Club's land, which abuts the project. And the owners of Fowl Incorporated are Brian and Christopher Mayhew. They live in Plymouth, and I guess that's a favorite place for bird hunting, maybe. And that's sort of what they want to keep it natural. So we want to try to work with them.
Better not raise chickens.
No, wild chickens, yeah.
It might be the agricultural zone. It could be allowed. Is that it for conservation?
It was agricultural land at one time. That was the end of that meeting, yeah.
Great. Capital Improvement Committee is on break until probably spring, would you say, Anne?
Yes, after town meeting.
Yes, post-town meeting. Advisory Budget Committee.
Kathy sent out a note to the committee this week, or late last week, asking if they could meet this coming Thursday or Friday. I wasn't sure if anybody responded to you or not.
They didn't, so I contacted my courier, and he said, yes, I did get your message, and I'll talk to Mark Halloran, so he's supposed to get back to me tomorrow.
And if they hold it on Friday, I can attend, but if they hold it on...
Time, or
afternoon is easier.
usually after 3 or 4.
Yeah, that's attendable.
Okay.
Thursday, I have my conflicts.
Yeah, okay.
Lakes Region Planning Commissioners.
We haven't had the commission meeting yet. Had a executive committee meeting, but I think I already mentioned that.
You mentioned it last time, yeah. Parks and Rec.
I am not aware of any upcoming meeting scheduled yet.
Okay. That committee's quiet. Parking Committee.
Alex and I met with Tracy and Patty Rice over at PSU today, talking about the possibility of employees parking in the Silver Center parking lot. It's not an official agreement, but we did talk about the potential for, the day after commencement to the 1st of August. There's even some difficulty because the Silver Center still holds events during the summertime. So we would have to we agreed to meet, March timeframe to see if we could iron out any of those details. There would need to be an MOU, liability, where that lie, those type of things. We kicked around a couple ideas as well. They threw out, the old McDonald's, parking there, shuttle there. We'd have to run through the costs. We clearly don't have a shuttle. those type of things. Holderness was brought up as well, sort of same deal. We'd have to have a shuttle, those type of things. We did talk about that pie in the sky, adding a second level over the Silver Center. Apparently that's been looked at before, about $32,000 per parking space it would cost. Yeah, so it's gone up a huge amount.
That's an expensive parking space.
Yes, it is, it is, so, that doesn't seem, possible. We did talk a bit about, they found a lot of grant money. Do we have an official grant writer, or is it just sort of where it comes?
Where it comes.
Okay, okay,
We do not.
okay. Okay. So we didn't get too far. We actually are meeting with Grayson Company to talk about lighting, solar lighting, at the senior center, that area as well. It's owned by Water and Sewer. So we're still trying to move forward with that. Once again, employee parking, those will definitely be at a premium next year, next spring. So I think it's the 5th. I think that, on the 5th.
So with Silver Hall, you also looked at the upper deck as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's commencement until when that we were looking at?
It was the second week of May is commencement. So we were talking, that second week up until the beginning of August timeframe. But once again, those events that happen still during the summer, what would that look like? Do we
Yeah.
not allow employee parking at that point? Those details we didn't work through because it's a little too early.
That would be a pretty good solution though, at least for the summer.
Yeah, for the summer at least. There's just not a lot.
Perlac.
Well, actually, can we use the meter fund to buy like a couple spaces a year?
Well, actually, I was curious about the parking fund.
Yeah.
Why do we have a parking fund? Why does the money not go someplace else? Why does it go towards parking and only be spent for parking?
When the warrant article was put together, it was specific for the parking
I
fund.
see.
And the
Okay.
town voted to have that.
Gotcha.
And it's for specific to parking only.
Right.
I think Frank's got his.
Frank, do you have a comment about
Yes.
parking?
Parking committee, and the intent was to, as the funds built up in that account, it would help the town with a matching grant if we could get other economic development monies for the parking garage. It was supposed to be a fund available as a matching, the town's matching grant.
Oh.
That was the intent.
In the past, it has not been used for that. It's
Right.
been used for vehicles, meter repairs, and to help offset taxes, which actually, we take a portion of the parking budget, comes out of that, and it goes back so that there's not a huge expense to the town.
So the warrant wasn't written, so it can only be used.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
Any more on that?
Nope. That's it.
Perlac.
So we're meeting tomorrow, and I'm sure Neil's aware of that. And 6:30, we meet at the community center in the library. And I just completed the minutes from last meeting and circulated them around. So I don't know if you saw your
I
copy.
saw the email.
Yep. So that should be going out after a week after a meeting, but I'm falling down on the job. And if anyone wishes to stand up to be the secretary, that would be okay. So.
You see him look right at Neil.
I know, I
You're
got
good at it, Neil, though.
Yeah.
You're good at it.
planning and conservation, Perlac.
Anyway, that's it for Perlac.
Economic development.
Oh crap! Never mind.
What?
So what we're doing, we're rewriting the river management plan, and we're engaging LRPC and their staff to at least to prepare ultimately a revised plan. And there's going to be a kickoff at not this, oh crap, it's this meeting. So tomorrow night there's a kickoff, not very well publicized. And basically LRPC, their staff is going to be doing a PowerPoint seeking questions from, I imagine they invited us somehow? Did they, or did you receive a letter?
I have not seen anything.
Well,
but-
maybe it'll be put off until November. In any event.
So the Board of Selectmen should have received an invitation, is that what you meant?
Actually, it could be the October meeting. And then the Select Board, the Conservation Commissions, the planning boards will be invited. Hope. Okey-doke, that's it.
Economic Development Committee, still on pause.
We did town manager. We're gonna hit the ground running.
Okay, waiting for that. Energy Commission.
So I'm inept at reporting on the Energy Commission, but we do have the chair of the...
Wow, passing the buck right to the audience.
I disagree. Is that appropriate?
Yeah, please.
I was just here to support realness.
In case you get it wrong.
So we have our site walks tomorrow at 4, and what we're hoping to do with those is what we did today with Ted, and that is to review the narrowed down sites, because we had more sites, right? We had a lot of sites, and then we narrowed those down, the town qualified sites, to answer questions, point out the pros and cons of each site, possibly rule out a site or two. Makes less work for us. And then possibly even choose a desirable site based on all that so that we can get more prepared for the warrant. And then we're hoping to have all of that, kind of the site and the particulars and funding nailed down for a hearing on the 14th. And that hearing would be used to inform the public and do the same thing with them, like walk them through what our process was, answer questions, get their concerns, kind of, spread the word. And in terms of a site walk, Marianne, if you want to do a separate one, if that's appropriate.
That would be great.
Yeah, well,
No, actually, I can do tomorrow.
Oh, you can?
I can. I
So I-
can't do I'm going to change around the schedule, so I can do tomorrow.
Got it.
Who else is going on the site visit?
I think
Is
the
it
rest of
just
us.
the select board?
I went today.
Right.
It was
Couldn't,
fun.
but I was writing minutes.
Good.
So me, you, Bill.
Okay.
I've
I wasn't
already-
sure if
No, you've
any
already
other
done it. Neil's not
department
going
heads
again.
are
Done
going.
it as well, but
Joe's
Ted,
coming for
Joe's
sure.
coming. Oh, good.
My foreman will be there. I'm gonna be at 7.
I didn't post it.
Okay.
you didn't
You
post it.
can't go.
Great.
9 o'clock.
Okay, I'll just view it.
9.
So last time.
I'll tell you what to think.
So,
Right.
but Ted Van Zant's going to
Right,
be at the...
4.
Ted,
Yep.
yeah. Grace, Ted's going to be at the walkabout, right? Ted Van Zant?
Our Ted, yeah, so our Ted meaning the solar consultant, Ted Van Zandt.
Yep.
And then,
You sure it's not posted?
I think, Ann, you posted it,
Public
didn't
hearing that
you?
you were talking about, you're asking the selectmen to hold a public hearing on November 14th?
Correct. During which we would present with our solar consultant.
Okay.
Are you good with that?
What's November 14th? What's the date on that?
It's a regular selectmen.
Monday.
Oh, it's a regular select board
It
meeting.
is, yep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that sounds great.
Thank you. And then we're still working with the police department and the co-op to look at street lightings, LED options. I'm just updating you all on everything. And then the other thing is that what Marianne mentioned, we're teaming with the planning department, the parking committee, and PERE, the Plymouth Area Renewable Energy Initiative, who has, a lot of experience with solar lighting. They did the solar array down on the amphitheater roof there years ago. We're going to team with them and figure out if we could do some solar lighting down on Green Street. And so we have a walk down there on the 5th of October.
Grace, can you just update them on our purchase power proposal? We were going to hold off a little bit longer.
Yeah,
than
I think so.
October.
So what Ann's talking about is the funding options and what we've been looking over. Oh, Oh, sorry, yes.
Power purchase agreement?
Good, I don't want to talk about that yet. So remember that the contract with Constellation is coming, is going to expire December 15th. So months ago, we agreed that we would refresh the energy broker numbers
In
for
October.
power contracts for like a 1 or 2 year period.
Right.
So that we could compare there's 4 companies that broker energy, including the co-op. Well, they don't really broker it, they just supply it. And then you guys can make a decision on what you want to do on the 15th of December. You guys, meaning you guys, girls.
So what date will that be presented to the board?
The best date would probably be the 14th. Also, we're trying to, and it won't take very long on that meeting.
Okay.
It won't take, but I can't really refresh the numbers until November 1st.
Okay.
Because they won't be very, you wouldn't want to see them earlier, I don't think.
Nope, that sounds perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Grace, for doing my report.
That's perfect.
You
Uh,
you owe her one.
Yeah, you do. Chamber of Commerce?
We haven't met. Next meeting is October 13th. I think it's the second Thursday every month.
Cool.
That actually, Maddie's reached out to Jamie and I as far as Explore Plymouth NH, looking for ways to promote the town as well. So hopefully we'll find some synergy there too.
Okay, that's it for committee reports, and on to public comments.
Only comment I have is, the question is, where is that Chamber of Commerce meeting on the 13th?
It's a Zoom meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Full comment.
Thank you, Frank. Nobody on Zoom, and that is the end of our public agenda.
I'll make a motion to go into non-public in accordance of RSA 91-A:3, number 2, A and B.
Second.
Neil, your vote.
Aye.
Marianne?
Aye.
Zach? Aye. Bill?
Aye.
Ted?
Aye.
Do we put Gumby back out or?
Okay.